Is the Iran war the inevitable outcome of human nature, or is it driven by man-made systems? Metal Gear Solid argues it's the latter.
War has changed.
In 2008, Metal Gear Solid warned us that war would stop being an extension of politics by other means and become the engine of the global economy. Today, we're watching AI increasingly integrated into defense infrastructure and a military-industrial complex that may prefer forever wars to clear conclusions. Because in a self-sustaining war economy, victory is not really the objective. The 2026 Iran conflict may have been priced in as early as 2018, and it could be the soft launch of a 21st century war economy, the bad ending of global geopolitics. Broadcast commencing in Metal Gear Solid 4 presents the war economy, a future where wars aren't avoided. They're prepared, planned, and launched to maximize profits, like an IPO.
War and its consumption of life has become a well-oiled machine.
Private military corporations fight proxy conflicts driven by totalitarian AI systems and autonomous weapons. War becomes the circulatory system of global finance. This is not our world, but it is the extreme logical extension of our history. Historically, war economies were temporary. Nations reorganized for total war, such as in World War II, before pivoting back to peace. But today, we maintain massive military-industrial sectors that require constant procurement. Even in peacetime, we have powerful institutions whose economic health depends on the persistence of military competition, the military-industrial complex. A heady blend of corporate interests, stock prices, and political donations, built on a network, a revolving door of official and boardroom positions, fueled by the possibility of conflict. It may sound conspiratorial, but really, I'm talking about systemic incentives. We don't need the Patriots, villains in a smoky room making the decisions for us. We just need a setup where governments invest billions in infrastructure that must be used to be justified. Companies build business models around 20-year defense contracts, and corporations make massive contributions to political campaigns. Over time, the machine develops a bias. There has to be a reason to justify the continued investments in weaponry, the existence of private military corporations. And so, it starts to prefer a state of persistent tension, a cold or perhaps warm war over settled peace. And when geopolitical competition creates uncertainty, uncertainty drives military spending, leading to more competition. 2024 and 2025 were record years for global defense spending, with over $2.6 trillion spent last year. The escalation trap in action. If we were headed towards a similar future to Metal Gear Solid, we should already be seeing the signs. And unfortunately for us, we have a live, ongoing conflict to examine: the Iran war. A war driven by political interests and global power calculations. But we know that Middle Eastern conflict spikes oil, destabilizes shipping, and sends fertilizer prices and global food costs into the stratosphere. So how does this war make sense when the costs are so high, especially in the context of a war economy? First, we need to ask the question, when did the Iran war actually start? You could point to 2018, when the United States withdrew from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the Obama-era nuclear deal with Iran. That decision didn't start a war overnight, but it removed a series of diplomatic exit ramps. It sidelined moderates and made escalation the most logical path for both sides. By the time the 2025 strikes hit during active negotiations, trust totally collapsed. There was no going back. But everyone knew the potential economic damage, so why did the war happen anyway? There's one more balance sheet to consider, not in dollars, but in gigabytes. So we've covered how the military-industrial complex can create warped incentives that nudge us towards conflict, creating an escalation trap. And we've been seeing segments of the political class push for war with Iran across the political divide and for decades, eventually cutting off the path to peace. But the parallels with Metal Gear Solid become clearer when we add the 2026 variable, artificial intelligence. The US and its rivals have allocated billions towards autonomous systems, but unlike a tank, an AI gets better with data. Real-world battlefield data could be a new type of gold. Drone navigation, target recognition, and electronic warfare signatures can't be perfected in a simulation. They need a laboratory. In the 21st century war economy, every conflict is also an R&D phase, because with machine learning, the better the dataset, the better the output. The product isn't the hardware, it's the algorithm. It's the creation of an ecosystem. Once you build the infrastructure for automated high data warfare, maintaining that machine could become more profitable than turning it off. For AI companies with close ties to national defense infrastructure, the worst case outcome of war still comes with the upside of mass accumulation of real-world data, and that data can't be found anywhere else. Mistakes become learning opportunities, rather than the real cost of hitting the wrong target. The war economy may not work for us, with soaring gas prices, inflation, and economic uncertainty, but for some institutions, this situation may suit them just fine. Metal Gear Solid warns us of a future where war is perfectly optimized, a self-sustaining machine, a system that doesn't need a why, only more. Again, we aren't there yet, but Metal Gear Solid 4 is more and more looking like the bad ending of global geopolitics. In our world, we have a military-industrial complex and geopolitical interests that drive tensions, but the addition of AI for military purposes adds a new element, a new weight on the scale towards conflict. We're already behind on setting safe, sustainable global rules for the era-defining technology that AI is becoming. The ingredients are aligning in a dangerous way that begins to mirror Metal Gear Solid. But the war economy is not natural law like gravity. It's man-made architecture of incentives. If the 2026 Iran war was priced in by policy decisions made almost a decade ago, it means that different decisions today can price in a different future. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It helps more than you know. And here are 2 other videos from this series on geopolitical futures hidden in science fiction. Subscribe for more on geopolitical power, ideology, and changing the world.